Xavi gonna bring Neko back into the battle. Rebels Roost reboot van, though, bound to alert some of the other teams in the area. Saw at least one kind of near where Xavi and Neko are at, and not only that, but now they've got to take the time. Since Neko just got brought back into this, he has to reform, he has to try and get somewhat of an optimal loadout to fight with this rotation inwards. And teams that are hanging around Lavish Lair, they could potentially look to cut off the duo that's stuck at Rebels Roost for the time being. Definitely a bit more calm, though, throughout this lobby so far, MDF, and can't help but think that it's largely just due to the fact that we're looking at our second-to-last match of Upper Bracket Day 2. And many teams, if they weren't able to find success with the Victor Royale in games 1 through 3, are currently just trying to prioritize leaderboard placements in general, because 6th through 25th, that's the next sweet spot to find yourself in if you can't get that actual Victor Royale.
Yeah, definitely telling. Look at this. Aiden and Hound find 2 eliminations here. Misses onto Xavi, who was just playing for the pickup here at the reboot van. He thought he was safe and it was all sweet, but like the attraction from the reboot van just brought Aiden and Hound straight to the Rebels Roost. Yep, let's look like the zone's starting to move in now, so they're gonna pick up their spoils of war here and get right on in. This team needs it. Look, they're only at 44 points, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a big help finding those eliminations, kind of creating a little bit of a safer rotate as well. But for Hound and Aiden, the current issue is just going to be the fact that with the zone pulling more towards that Underworld Grim Gate side of the map, keep in mind the Rivers of Styx, the Underworld dashes. It's going to be very problematic from this point on to actually try and prevent players from escaping. Just so much survivability that's allowed with the Underworld dashes, and it's just really hard to keep track of where players are actually at.
Paco mix in rotation right now, very reminiscent of old original Arkham Dead Side rotates, utilizing a lot of that water to go around the outskirts. Mixon and Paco have also held height longer than any other NA duo this weekend, which is crazy to even take into consideration that they haven't picked up a win after having high ground for the longest amount of time as far as a full height hold is concerned. And it makes you wonder, like, could they just time it a little bit better, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Go too soon, and more often than not, that's the problem.
Well, the other thing, too, is even when teams have height in NA, what they don't ever seem to have is builds. And so that could be a big contributing factor for as to why we see so much hot potato essentially being played from the high ground. Batman Booga trying to take advantage of that DMR from inside of his surge base. I like the fact that Batman Booga and Rapid have also split. There at the Underworld, they got a pretty good idea. If a team is going to rotate in from Rebels Roost, they'll be able to spot them out, and there's typically not going to be teams much further than Rebels Roost. Otherwise, you're looking at what, like a Paco and Mixon rotation, but on the north side, and can't say I really expect any of the teams that drop towards that north side of the map to be opting for that sort of strategy. So it's just nice to try and get some surge that way.
Yeah, it comes with its own risk, right? Being so far away from other teams. Bryson Bolts, though, here's a team that we haven't seen much of their early and mid games, I would say, but we have seen a lot of their end games as they have really fought tooth and nail to consistently remain within the top 3. A win feels like it could be all but guaranteed before this weekend's over at some point or another, as they've just kind of figured out, I feel like they've really figured out what they want to do in the mid to early games to pop up and show up so often in the end game.
Almost surprised to not see Reet and Ritual at the Rift Island. But Bryce, Bolts, They've got a tango with Shore and Sprite up here now, and Bryce already ate a tag just on the way up, taking that rift in the first place. So he's definitely going to look for this opportunity to recover his shield. And Victor and B-Dog could be another team to essentially pose a threat currently for Bryce and Bolts. But again, one of the central benefits of being up here on the Rift Island is just knowing that you can re-farm brick and materials in general, no problem. Sprite, though, not going to make it easy for Bryce. I like what Bolts is doing, though, trying to set up a box on the edge of Rift Island. But it has drawn the attention of Sprite and Shore, so he'll have to be wary. He doesn't want to find himself getting chopped out above that many people.
So much players here at the Grim Gate. 160 point situation looking for Re and Ritual right now. Excellent performance here. I mean, this is, if anything, what will likely be just a glimpse of how they look to play, or will look to play, the finals next week. They've got their strategies, they've found their consistency, but can they continue to rack up high placing positions, top spots, hopefully a win, secure in their finals spot, lock it in. Talked about these bases ever evolving. I don't know what in the world Chewbacca and X-Spawn have going on up here, but it's an interesting one. They're utilizing the bush bomb here too, just to have full reign on players in the distance, and feels like it's very much meta to have the thermal scope on the DMR right now as well.
Yeah, the indirect buff of that thermal scope with the reintroduction of those big bush bombs, but still not easy to actually connect with those shots. You saw the way the players were rapidly rotating, rapidly dashing. It's helping everybody save a little bit more of their material count, though, with the zone falling more towards this River of Styx and the underworld water area in general. But Blake and Macwood, pretty happy to see this campfire currently. They don't have, at least Blake doesn't have any white heals currently, so this is going to be a very big benefit, a nice setup point to help Blake and Macwood essentially try and propel themselves a little bit closer towards the action. They have managed to secure a slight dead side portion of the zone currently.
Yeah, they went from a bad position to a relatively stable one. They still have Flowberry Fizz. They have the Underworld River, like just a pond, right? They don't even have to expose themselves to the full river. They have a pond right there that'll give them the effects. So all in all, this should, yeah, start to line up for them. Bak and Pars have found themselves inside the zone pretty comfortably now as well, too. You can see those two eliminations definitely setting themselves up right as far as damage is concerned. And look, they want to go even more center. They don't want to risk it at all. Trying to play to the best of their odds right here. Get away from those teams that are going to start rotating in. This is actually a great spot to be in. Hooper and Kanata playing the Surge base for sure. Big boy base set up here. Foundation rock solid as well. You can see the extra ramps and walls to protect it.
With only one elimination, though. Those are the kinds of tags that you want to see happening. Kanata definitely still on the hunt. And he's got a really good stronghold here because there's a couple of teams a little bit more towards that wet side coming from near where that bunker location is essentially situated at, but Miro dropped in seconds. Dukes will manage to turn things temporarily. Aiden held at bay. This could be an opportunity to just trade revives, but instead Duke's gonna have to drop one more layer. Looking to challenge Hound outright. Another team has now introduced themselves to the conversation, and that's gonna be Dukes likely having to forfeit.
They're taking the body. Look, they've effectively taken Miro's body from the storm and dragged him into the next couple of bosses. G-Monster reciprocal here. Dukes is probably wondering, like, what is going on right now? He doesn't have time to spare here. There is a med kit. Okay, double make it. He grabs it. Let's give him a lot of options now.
What's also nice is that Reciprocal and G-Money, they just left. This could be just so fixated on taking each other out. It's just so unfortunate when a third party just intervenes entirely, because now both those teams worse for wear, and I don't even think that was an initially good fight in the first place, considering where they were situated at. It was kind of just begging for another team to force their way into the conversation.
Yeah, they were kind of like out of the line of sight, but a bit too passively positioned, and all of a sudden, you saw what happened there. Everything else played out. Re and Ritual have had the zone pull directly on top of them time and time again now. The zone goes furthermore into the north side of the Grim Gate here. So it's going to start drawing its way out of the water. That'll start to make things very interesting here in the end. Who's going to be able to save their dashes will likely come away with it in the end. Reed also using the Wings of Icarus as well. Interesting to see how teams are holding onto those. I don't think we've seen them actually come out though, like in full play, but they've
The Booga story.
Inventory.
Booga and Agers, well, primarily just Booga, I think, is going to be the first player on NA at least that comes to mind for Wings of Icarus preference. But yeah, here today, that's definitely kind of a first-timer situation there. But Reed and Ritual always wants to be able to showcase their flexibility and newly developed strats.
I almost forgot Clix and Epic World were in this game, honestly, with how quiet they've been just lurking, and it does seem like the zone's gonna go far, far east here. Mixon and Paco find themselves on the wrong side of the territory, and then on the wrong side of the surge, so they jump into Epic Whale and Clix's box, and the damage and punishment was laid down, but not enough to finish off Epic Whale here, so they're gonna have to count their lucky blessings. That could have went terribly bad for them. As Paco and Mixon, look at how much loot they delivered. They weren't necessarily desperate just yet, however, they didn't want to wait to chance it out against the Storm, and look at this, Clix and Epic Whale actually needed those elims too. They're only 300 above, and with how healthy Paco and Mixon were, I mean, that's the 400 damage that was just given to them. So crazy how things just line up for them right now.
Not Clix's first care package, that's for sure, but
right.
Hey, you'll never see duos complaining in those kinds of circumstances. Thought for a moment that Rapid and Batman Booga were going to try and ruin Clix and Epic's day. They could have potentially keyed from their position since they were just one box over from where Clix and Epic had previously been at, but the zone pool has got everybody on the go here. A little bit of Flowberry Fizz, regenerate some of the shield. Clix Epic planning their next area of attack, and actually Clix just gonna throw up a couple of small shield potions. Seems like they're content right now to just stick it out on the low ground. They've managed, Clix can tell there's a team holding height right now. Whether he knows it's Baka and Pars is a different situation, but they're good on Surge. So as long as you're safe for the time being, you don't really need to do anything to compromise their current position. They're probably just gonna wait for when the zone actually starts to close to get a move on.
Yeah, they have to jump on the zone right here. This is the best spot to be in. Pars and Baka have the height though, so their decisions to go center and trust in their gut to play for the middle of the Grim Gate has definitely paid off, and I highlighted this team at the start as a team that I genuinely thought was going to dominate in the early game, but it's taken them a little bit to get online, and right now we could be seeing the early signs of what could be them taking the throne from Paco and Mixon for the longest endgame hold if they can do it to win it. It's not going to be easy though. Baka's already halfway through his material. He's burning a lot to state. Pretty rock solid up top.
Sure, definitely in a tough spot. Fade, gonna catch a Fade on the go away there from Shore, but Sprite falling will leave shore.
No.
Try and play it as a solo. Epic and Clicks, though, they found their opportunity. They've been eyeing it out, scoping out the territory. And that's going to be a force down. Pars abandoning the high ground. Clicks more than happy to scoop it out from underneath. And now Clicks and Epic, they've got another threat behind them. Sphinx, hello?
This is just tragic. Sphinx and threats come out of nowhere, but they get dropped down as the fight breaks out here. Epic Whale and Clicks do not want to give this up easily. However, they are, I think, still not maintaining height just yet. Yeah, look at the way Epic Whale's building. He's throwing cones above him here. Not quite sure if there was a team up top, so it cost him a little bit. Kanata and Cooper now look to take height themselves here, and it's just an all-out battle here, and Epic Whale is willing to bolster up and puff his chest out to fight back for it, and he does maintain his position there, and it costs Kanata everything. Now down to 5 mats. Into the box he goes. He needs this refresh, and he gets it, and it's on to Pars. Finishes up what was left of him, and they are right back into the game, but they're in a much worse position than they were before. And I just have to wonder who's on height. Link and Zyro were the last to jump, and it seems like they get to reap the rewards of everyone else's struggles.
Look, Clicks and Epic had already laid down the foundation for most of what's situated up here on height currently. Kanata and Cooper just completely ruining that potential game-winning opportunity there.
Oh, look,
for
no
Clicks and
mats?
Epic Whale. And Cooper, yeah, no mats. No life as he gets knocked in the process. Kanata, though, trying to break through into this next box. Will manage to pick up med kit, but again, he is forced to just stay underneath these other builds because with Link and Zyro up top, it's only a matter of time before Kanata gets spotted out. A brief moment, though, as he picks up a handful of builds, some leftover loot that's fallen from other bodies surrounding him, but Bolt's at the forefront, actually, on the low ground. And Zyro, he's going to be forced to drop as well. No materials, but that might just be enough here for Zyro and Link. They just need to find this last player, and Victor might be going for the heal-off.
Yeah, but he dropped that heal off so early. Look, he's trying to jump on over to see what he can do. And it is not going to be enough. Link and Zyro with the most well-timed, to be the most well-timed duo for the high ground take there. Take the win for